Welcome to our next adventure with Chemology 411, a podcast about anything and everything. Kim and her guests will take you behind the scenes, behind the story, or behind the bar. So sit back. Make sure your seatbelt is fastened, tray table in its upright position, all carry-ons stored under the seats. But for this adventure, electronic devices must remain on. As we are ready to take off on our next adventure, introducing Kim Schultz and Chemology 411.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 49. This evening, we are revisiting the New Year's resolutions we made back in 2019. Do you remember that year where we could walk around freely and frolic wherever we wanted to go, sit down in big groups, go to concerts? Seems like it's been years that we've been able to do that, but we did make our resolutions, and we are going to go back and see exactly how Tyson and I are doing. His resolutions, my goals. I am Kim Schultz, and I am your adventure coordinator for this show. Let's say hi to my co-host, Tyson Harley.
Hey!
Hey, how's it going?
How are we doing? Yeah, it's going to be a fun night because, you know what we're doing? Somebody's got a special week next week.
Oh,
so
I know.
We get to do two
shows.
And so by the end, we're pretty silly. So it's going to be fun. I actually have a second Venom for the day, which I never do.
Right.
But I've been doing a lot of tiring stuff lately. We'll get to. So yeah.
And our topics are pretty. They'll be both pretty fun. So.
Oh yeah, the resolution stuff is really fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun with that episode. As I re-listened to it, it was very, very good. So let's get to it. Let's get to Tyson's quick hits.
What's wrong?
Well, what had happened?
You look sad.
You were listening last week. You heard about how, not that you didn't know this in the broad sense, that, well, Tyson can be brilliant. Brilliant. Like, honestly, like,
You're
really
elite,
world-class brilliant sometimes when he has a chance to do analysis. Other times, And the example last week was that I got to borrow headphones because I'm not certain where mine are. Kind of goes to the latter, isn't it, that we were just talking about? And I could not for the life of me figure out how to put on the damned headphones. And you saw it in my eyes. I was not messing around.
No, you were not.
About three times in a row. It may have continued after, where we're still chatting, and I'm like, I got it now. I got it. And I'm like, and I had a proud look on my face, and you're like, and it's still wrong. So it's one of those that wraps around your ears. Well, guess what?
What? Oh yeah, you are missing something.
I don't have my headphones, which means I gotta try.
I bet you're stressing out the whole way over here.
So, we thought it would make sense to try to put the headphones on. I think I got it, though.
Okay.
But I said that 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
And we have not looked. You just put it in the bundle because I didn't want to. I didn't want to get to cheat on it.
You
So
didn't cheat it because
right,
we're gonna do this live so that you can see.
That's ridiculous. I got another this funny later in this same episode of how I was like, duh. Oh no.
Okay. Don't.
Oh no.
Don't
say anything.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just gonna laugh. I mean,
I'm still looking. Don't give any of it away.
I'm not. Looking. He is intensely studying.
I think I got it.
Yeah! I don't know why it took you like a minute to put headphones on, but I am so impressed.
Thank you. Yeah, remember how I said that? This is way too proud of myself for someone my age. But regardless, I'm like, what happens is the one little curly thing is towards the front of your ear. And I was like thinking it was the top, and it was throwing me off as opposed to toward the front.
Yes! You were thinking way too into the headphones.
Well, I've had wraparound headphones before and have not had problems with them. Well, as that's my story and I'm sticking to it. But I don't remember having problems with them. But man, if not 4 or 5 times in a row, man, Man, I am so smart. Is that not what I was just saying?
You are.
Quick hit number 2. Okay, so kitty stories. We got to think of little kitty stories. I've got a little 8-month-old kitty after my 18-year-old buddy boy died in June. And he's a great kitty. And one of the things I decided I'm going to do is try to teach him to high five. Right? I mean, a cat should be able to do that. They use their paws all the time. So I've started. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I've got my little treats because I've never given treats. I'm like, okay, got my box of treats. I'm on day 2. And I think first you got to get him to sit down because it's hard for him to put his paw up if he's standing up with his rear legs. Right. So I feel like I've made a little progress. Just 2 5-minute sessions.
Are you videotaping this while you're doing it?
No. And it's really hard. I mean, at first it's like, push down. God, the cat's stronger than you think. Push down the back leg. And then it's like, ugh. I'm like, good boy.
Treat?
He's like, yeah. I mean, is that just, it's after you abuse me by breaking my young hips? Thanks for the treat, buddy. But sometimes I'm not sure if it's just on purpose or just coincidental that he sits down. But he has sat down a few times out of the, 50 or 60 times we tried.
Poor guy.
So he's like, I don't even want any more treats. So, yeah. Quick hit number 3. Okay, so yeah, high fives on the way. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be awesome, right?
Just high five. High five. Yeah, little baby high five.
Yeah, high five. All right, so I showed you this offline, and I was listening to Pandora music. I do that sometimes during working remote, even in the regular building, I do that just with headphones, just to kind of, I say I listen to stand-up a lot that I've heard, and it doesn't distract me, and sometimes the music works too. Sometimes I listen to trap music. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, one came on called "On My Way to Mars."
Oh my gosh, that was so cute.
And it was cool because it was like, I'm tired of this world and blah, 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 and all your wars. I'm on my way to Mars. Anyway, you should look that up. It's by Timmy Trumpet. On My Way to Mars. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And actually then some other of theirs played too, and they were kind of fun too. And quick hit number 4. Great new stuff up on Tyson Harley's page.
Nice.
As in the Facebook page. I usually, if I put it on the page and I share it with my profile or vice versa, and really good stuff. I haven't made a podcast out of it, but it turns out that I've seen hints at this, but it is totally true that when you're doing a test, if you're developing a test, you have to understand and have something to compare it to. In the terminology, they called it the gold standard, which I thought was a little bit misleading because to me, it's like, gold standard means, okay, we know that this car is really good. So we want to compare the other cars to this car because the Bentley is the gold standard. Now, what it really means is, do we have some information that is the best information as to accuracy for the thing we're trying to measure? And as we're developing a new test, then how we tell whether our new one is for crap is we compare our results to what we know. Well, maybe that's that you can see the thing.
Right.
So you know that it's 5 out of 200. And then you do the test, and the test says 6 out of 200 or 5, and it's decent. But if it says 50 out of 200 when the thing was 5, it sucks. But the point is, you have to have some comparative thing to use it. And they have never isolated. They've never isolated COVID. You understand this? So remember when we said the FDA website said it could test positive for, and it's still up there. I mean, when I looked last, and I've saved it, but it was up months after I saw it the first time, that it could, the PCR test is the one that went in the nose, not the antibody test, could test positive for other coronaviruses and even for bacteria. And it says, and usually PCR tests, you'll see stories that, well, this is usually more accurate because you have a genetic profile or whatever, as opposed to antibody, which is your body's reaction to the thing. So you'll see people saying, well, PCR is more accurate usually because you're checking for the actual thing. Well, that might be true in most cases, but not in this case because they never isolated it. So and they don't have a gold standard. So the PCR test itself, you can go find it, and I put up some good stuff on the Tyson page. The scientists are like, well, we don't have one. We don't have anything to compare it to. So we say it's valid because it's valid.
Yeah, because we say so.
So anyway, that's up there, and we're gonna. I think I've got the next one that I'm gonna work on. We'll talk about that in the next episode. And that's it for Tyson's Quick Hit. Started off kind of slow because I was not happy. But now that I got my headphones in, I got my headphones in right. I've just ended. This is swell. What a swell day. What a great day. I was a lot better than I was feeling 40 minutes ago when I was driving over. Oh, no.
Oh,
no. I'm like, I'm going to get that wrong again. But on the other hand, it could be funny. But no, I really still haven't found them. They're around somewhere. I'll find. You'll find. But now, maybe it's no big deal because I'm kind of master of putting on headphones. I don't know if you know that. Like, if you want to know how to put in wrap around your headphones, don't ask me.
Please don't.
I mean, you can. We'll watch.
It's going to take a while. Yeah, we'll make fun of you.
And that'll teach you not to ask Tyson about putting a headphone. Exactly. So that should be its own phrase. Like, just asking advice from someone you shouldn't be asking advice from.
Right. Well, last week I went to the pool twice because I had to go with Chelsea on Thursday.
You don't even look burnt or anything.
With George, I'm tan.
You're right. Your arms are pretty.
I'm tan.
Yeah, the guns are looking pretty tan.
Yeah.
Even the inside.
Yep, I tan.
Usually you're a lot less tan on the inside of your arms.
Yeah. So, but I'm afraid it's going to be my last time at the pool because unless I can get there this week, maybe Friday, I got to look at the weather because a cool front's coming through, and once it becomes September, then it could get hot again, but then I'm going to be out of town, and so it might be the last
first
time.
World problems. Well, Kimmy's going to be traveling, and so she can't swim as much.
I know. That's hard. It's hard. The pool has saved me this summer. I mean, it saves me every summer, but that's nothing that changed this year. I got to go to the same pools as I always do and get to lay out, actually even more than last year, so I was okay with it, but we are cooling down here, and so the highs are in the 80s.
Hurricane, what we get in Kansas, we don't get the horrific weather that's kind of the offshoot of hurricanes, but we will get some nice rain, some of it a little heavy. Yeah. But we're not so far south. It was Hurricane Laura.
Yeah, I think
so. It will push some rain way up, halfway up into the United States here, but we don't tend to have anything that's really bad off of it. Just a lot of rain. But we got that plus cold. One day it was like jacket weather cool.
Right.
Like at 3 to 5
it was
o'clock.
Like breeze. There's a breeze. I heard. I haven't left the house.
I did.
I haven't.
I'm not saying jacket weather if you're walking briskly.
Right.
But just to set, like I was sitting on my front porch sometime that afternoon, and it was basically jacket weather. Like you might think kind of mid-October. In late August. And that was because of the hurricane pushing some of that stuff up. So it's been kind of nice, but on the other hand, it started to warm up, and I'll take the cool later. Thank you.
Yeah, I just like my hot. I had to, I think I walked outside maybe Sunday. I got to think of today. So today is September 2nd, right? It's Wednesday. So Monday, I think I walked Monday. Maybe.
You did one of these last 3 or 4 days.
No, I didn't walk Monday. I didn't walk Monday. Sunday I walked. Monday I did yoga. Yesterday, I don't know. I can't keep track. I didn't remember what I did. But I didn't get to go. I didn't get outside because it's the first of the month and I was reconciling because as I'm leaving next week, I had to get all my work done. And I've got all but one company. It's about a 3.5 hour job to finish up for
like payroll
August.
Stuff?
Reconciling all their bank accounts and doing their profit and losses and stuff.
That's what that. When you said reconciling, what you meant you were doing was reconciling.
Yeah, I was reconciling.
I should have analyzed that word a little bit more and let it absorb into my brain. You mean like payroll?
It's only going to get better, folks. It's only going to get better.
This reminds me. This is like this ongoing life meme. Remember my nephew visited a few months ago?
Yeah.
A couple months ago. We went to Wendy's in Kansas City, nearby where I picked him up. I like to go to Wendy's. They support adoption. And they've got that 4 for $4, which is inexpensive, and you get a lot more than some of the value meals. But I always say I want plain tea. I mean, tea without ice, and mostly unsweetened. And I usually say like about 3/4 unsweetened and some sweetened on top. 1/3, 1/4. And so the first guy in Kansas City, my nephew's 14, he goes, so half and half then? It's the second simplest fraction.
1/4, 3/4.
The second simplest fraction. So half and half then? And then, still on the same trip.
Lucy's cute.
I kid you not. We're over at Wendy's on here in town. Ask the same question, tell the same question, and the dude. Because at first I'm like, well, at least that happened on the Missouri side,
Right.
So we come over here and it says like basically the exact same thing happens. So, and then we did it a third time, and the other day someone got it right, and then a fourth time someone got it wrong again. So it's like, so just split that then.
Yeah, you just want
So
half
anyway,
and half.
that reminded him of the thought level of you going, so I'm going to reconcile.
Right.
And I'm like, so you're going to do payroll like this?
You're gonna do.
You're like,
yeah,
no, I'm gonna
reconcile.
Those are different things.
That's hard. Yeah, so I am ready for my vacation. I started watching Neat, the Story of Bourbon. It's on Hulu.
Wait, it's called what?
Neat.
Oh, neat. Like James Bond says.
Like, have it neat.
I don't even know what that means.
I think it's just put it in a cup.
I don't think that's right.
It is neat because it's just room temperature, whatever. Then you add water, ice cube.
So
I
like,
think that's
like simple.
Yeah, just simple. But
Okay.
anyway, I thought I needed to improve my terminology when it comes to bourbon, because we
yeah.
are going to be talking to other people that like bourbon. We're going to have like tour guides, and so I watched it
So
once.
this is the Kentucky. When I say Kentucky, right?
Louisville.
Yeah, the trip that is
Yes.
the bourbon trip
The
where
bourbon
you go
trip.
on to.
Uh-huh.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, so I need another vacation because I just had to cancel my Atlanta trip because they're still
In lockdown mode?
the
Or
people
ish.
the people that I stay with, one of them hasn't even gone back to work yet, and one of them is going back 3 days a week. So I think he's just working from home. I think of working from home, but anyway, so they were not ready for guests, and so I was like, that's okay. I mean, because I was going at the end of the quarter, and it was kind of pushing it, so I'll just make it next year. I mean, it's fine.
And I interrupted you, but you said you really liked that Neat, the Story of Bourbon.
I did, because I didn't know the history of it.
Netflix or where is it?
Hulu.
Hulu.
So it basically was talking, and it was kind of cool because we're going to be going to Buffalo Trace, and we've got 4 tours there, and they were at Buffalo Trace in the movie, and the guy was like, here is the clear liquid in the bottle, and then he had some, Buffalo Trace is a higher end bourbon, and he says this clear liquid is what we put in the burnt barrels. So they show you how they make the barrels out of these white oak trees, and then they catch them on fire inside, and they burn them so much into it. Then they put the clear liquid in there and let it sit there for like 8 years, and the burnt part of the barrel with that's how you get the brown. So there's no artificial coloring. So I guess the longer it's in there, I'm not a professional yet. I am going to watch the movie again because I really do, because it was so interesting. And there is a woman, and I'm not going to remember, I didn't write her name down, but she's like one of the first after Prohibition, first woman owner of a distillery, and she has this one that used to be part of maybe a tailor or something, but it's a castle. It's freaking awesome. So anyway,
Cool.
I would love to get to meet her sometime or chat with her.
Is that down in that direction too?
Mm-hmm. Yep, but I don't think hers is open.
Oh.
There's half of them aren't even open, and so I need to check.
For tours?
Yeah, I got to check tonight, because maybe they'll reopen in September, for like Labor Day weekend. That I don't know, so I'll look for there. So anyway, that's what we did. I did finish How to Get Away with Murder. I binged it last weekend. I binged it.
How many people did you kill?
A lot of people died.
Oh.
A lot of people died.
A lot of people. Everybody that needed to, then?
No.
Not
people
everybody.
People that don't need to died. And it was like, I think I watched like 8 episodes. I was like this. I am so done with this that I don't like it was remember when we talked about how it starts mentally affecting you? It was starting to be like this. I can't take any more of this, but I had to finish it. And then
That's where I just drop out, man. That's why I don't get finish any of them.
I'm not a beauty school dropout. No graduation date for you.
I was trying to throw some lyrics and I got nothing. I was just going to say go back to high school. That's all I need.
Anyway, so, but I finished it. It was really good, but it's very hard to watch, especially because it's like 6 seasons. So you basically grow, and I've been watching this for some time, one a day, but you grow to know these people. They're like your friends. You're like, I hate you. You're a good person. Oh, you're this. You're annoying. You didn't need to die. You needed to die. So anyway,
it's a good thing you died.
And then Alexis and Katie, I'm so sad that's over. I would really probably watch that again. It's just a fun show of a friendship, and I cried the last episode. It was amazing. It was so good. So
and that's where again?
These are Netflix. Anyway, so if you've got young kids or you just like to watch a nice little kid show, it's kind of like, back in our days when we had like the Facts of Life and Three's Company and stuff like that. This is more kind of like it'd be like on the Disney
Kim and
Channel.
Tootie.
Yeah, Kim Fields played Tootie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought she's cute.
So anyway, so that was that, and then
she played Tootie. So I was thinking,
yeah, Kim Fields.
Okay. So I remember some of the other faces. I remember that where they had like the tomboy that was actually kind of pretty, the blonde.
Yep, mm-hmm. Yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
I might have watched it a few times or all of them, and then today, bringing into my job. So I've got some businesses who went and got the PPP money, and due to all of these stupid restrictions still, many of them protection program, they haven't been able to open up. And a lot of the employees have moved on, and so they're working to open up, but they have this money and they can get it forgiven if they use it correctly. So I've got 5 different banks that I'm working with. So you get some
money that's supposed to help you in the meantime, just so long as you meet the conditions eventually of paying some certain percentage towards payroll, right? Yeah. And they extended that deadline because the first one was practically unrealistic, but then certainly because we went crazy and kept on going with this.
Right.
And so you were supposed to spend something like 75 or 80% of it on payroll, something like
60-40.
60-40.
Well, what happened is when they first released it, it was the 8 weeks, and then they were like, we're still working from it, like we have no whatever. So they extended it. But today I get an email from one of my banks because, like I said, I've got multiple clients and I'm not doing these for them. This is their company, and I'm not doing the work. I'm not filling out the applications. I just fill out my part and then they do the rest. So I deal with 5 different banks, and one of them sent me an email, and I told them that, hey, this business isn't really open yet. They've kind of been working on it. And she was like, oh, that could be a problem. You were supposed to pay people even if you weren't open. You were just supposed to pay them. And I was like, what? So I was supposed to, these employers were supposed to just throw the money away to employees, and then you added $600 to unemployment so that those employees, would they have missed out on the $600? Would they have still got the $600? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And so anyway, I was like, well, it looks like we might be giving some money back then, because I do not have it in me to just hand out paychecks to random people. And then she was like, and you have to pay the same amount of people you were paying when you were open. It's like, yeah, but we're not open. So we were open 3 hours a day. We didn't get any money. So anyway, I was not happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, again, to me, this is just buying your being okay with it. But then they contradict each other. These various things they're supposed to be buying you being okay with the economy going down the tubes, because allegedly there's a reason for it. And we can disagree on that all day, and I do. But then they contradict each other, and they have these consequences that nobody at the time thought through much.
No.
Like, wait a second. So, were you supposed to hold on to your employees and say no unemployment? Yeah,
evidently. We were supposed to be paying somebody even though we were closed.
How much were you supposed to be paying? Because they weren't full-time people
correct,
anyway.
yeah. And so, like, we wanted the money so that we could reopen. And some people are reopening and losing thousands of dollars because they're trying to spend this money. You know what? Don't open. Keep the money and pay the 1% loan is cheaper than going into debt $20,000. I mean, come on.
So, right. They're trying to...
It's ridiculous.
So
And
the point was that if you met the conditions, you didn't have to pay it back. And you're saying that at this point, if you're just trying to force the idea of being able to meet the conditions, it very well could not be in your best financial interest.
And one bank will tell you something totally different, and then you kind of hear the rumors that they're kind of like anything under a certain amount of money will just be forgiven. And then you've got one bank that goes, we need to get the money in before they make more changes. Well, why do I want to get it in before they make the changes? Because what if those changes benefit me? Like, they're only getting better as we go.
Employers need to use the money before the conditions change?
Yeah. No, we need to submit the paperwork immediately at some banks, and other banks are like, yeah, don't do it. You got 10 months to do it. Why don't you just wait to see what the government says? And if you maybe because you only got a small amount of money, maybe they're just going to be like, just write it off. Don't worry about it. Because we basically got screwed by the government saying you can only have 25% of your clientele. You can't stand in line, which people stand in line everywhere. But if you're going to follow these stupid rules that people give you, that they do, then you need to be able to follow the rules. And in order for people to make it, they can't follow the rules. That bothers me in my head. It's like, these are rules. These are rules. And I mean, I'm not following them because I think some of them are just stupid. But as a business owner, you don't want to not follow the rules. I'm a person. I'm not.
Well, it becomes arbitrary enforcement, right? You just don't know whether yours is going to be given an example because it's not necessarily common sense. A lot of people know, no, this really has to kind of be. We have to kind of get past it. But what if while everybody's saying we have to kind of get past it, they just pick your business to make an example of?
Right. Yeah. You got to do it. So I mean, we couldn't open our business because we are a salad bar, and our other one is an event venue where how many people are having events? Like 5% of the normal people. So anyway, we'll get a catch up on that whenever I hear back, on another episode of how that's working out and where we're going with that, but still I was not happy.
Anyway, next episode, you're going to talk about another policy.
Yeah, we got more. We got more stuff. But we'll talk.
Yeah,
we'll talk
listen
about
to
that next.
That'll be interesting.
All right. So, episode 13, we decided 13. Man, that just seems so long ago.
Can you imagine that's
13?
36 regular episodes ago?
Wow. Like, we didn't really even know each other at like 13.
We were just young and
we were so little and immature,
and so impressionable. The world seems so bright, and our future seems
and now we have like a tech team. We have a sound system.
Yeah, we got a sound guy named Sam Sung. He's from China. He's just a little guy.
He is just a little guy, and we have a new desk, a new table. What?
Yeah.
I mean, we were on a TV tray.
Yeah, we're moving on up.
I hate to brag about all the other podcasters out there. I know they're going to be like, man, that's awesome. They got that?
They got past the TV tray period? Oh, yeah. You'll get there.
Moved up to
the
the puzzle-sized table.
Just keep pushing.
You can do it. But anyway, in 13, we talked about New Year's resolutions, and I believe you are like, I don't do those. And I believe I kind of made you.
I think you were exactly right on that. Yes, the world was far different, wasn't it? And then the other thing is we kind of said, we'll be checking on those about every 90 days. So,
and then you know what happened?
260 days later,
COVID.
Give or take.
COVID happens.
Yeah.
And we just kind of lost
what? Oh, what? Oh, very good episode. I listened to the whole thing again. Mm-hmm. What we did was, so this is episode 13. Remember, we did a nice background on resolutions, like a historical background.
Yeah, we did.
And then you covered great strategies.
Okay.
And I was sounding board off of that, and you can go over some of those. I summarized some of them here. Not that you don't remember them, but just for
I don't
easy
remember
reference.
them.
And then we did our resolutions, and we did a fun, quick. excursion around that. We had done an episode previously around positivity.
Right.
And I found some cool positivity stuff that kind of related to also then resolutions.
Right.
And if you remember, we had a little bit of or ha ha. Remember, so we had some. So the excursion was fun. The main episode was very good. So that's one of those. It's what you call evergreen, right? It's not topical as in timely. So you can listen to that any time, and it's a pretty good information there. I liked it a lot.
And we did talk about how I normally set 90-day goals.
Yes. As
opposed to a year, because that's just way too much. This year seems like 7 years, but.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The stuff that you said in there was really some pretty good work.
Let's see here. Tendencies is that she doesn't like the idea. Oh, yep. So I don't do like the particular dates and stuff like that. Less structured. That is true.
Yeah, I like to make your resolutions with your less structured work style in mind. Because and that ends up being one of your resolutions is really due to that. Your less structured, exceptionally unstructured way of working compared to some people, knowing that presents its own issues. So
right. So I said a lot changed in 2019. Nothing changed in 2020. We're still March 14th going on here.
Yeah, no
I am
difference.
A lot tanner though, so whatever.
No difference.
Let's see here. A lot of changes. I doubled my clients. I have more clients. Okay, so let's start with Tyson's.
Okay, so resolution 1 was get to a point where I feel comfortable to turn my job over to someone else and then apply egregiously for jobs to make more money. So... Hey, did I tell you I got these headphones on right?
Okay, well, there's a reason that you did not accomplish this.
Well, but yes and no. So, I have not done that. I do feel like I had a kind of a built-in sub-step where I have to rely on some other people and outside forces is part of my sub-step to get comfortable. One thing that I said even back then was that to turn this job over, there's a main function. I work in the public sector. And to allow some accountability for the contractor that I'm policing, we need to have a certain process in place to make sure they're doing their job. Well, for me, the accountability thing was a documentation, a memorialization of what their duties are regarding this big, policing what they have to do. And we still haven't got the thing documented. I mean, we're pushing on. It just never happens. It never happens.
The same thing we talked about before.
So it's just not been documented. And if that were to happen, like officially signed, then I'd feel a lot closer to if I turn this over to someone else, they still have that obligation. It's not just that Tyson...
Because this is huge. This is a huge project.
Yeah, it's not just that Tyson is pushing them and now he's not. It's that, no, you guys signed this.
Right.
And so you have to follow through on this process. It really shows to everybody that you understand your obligations. I mean, 500 pages worth of obligations.
Right.
And that you are showing evidence that you are. And so that's just never been finished.
Well,
and
but with COVID,
because it's a giant.
But COVID is not on the top of their platter right now.
True. So there's something to that. So I have not gotten to a point where I feel comfortable to turn my job over to someone else.
Have you made your resume that I asked you to do yet?
No, but that's coming up soon. I think it's on my list for basically this week. I'm getting a lot of things done due to the next resolution we're going to talk about. And as a result, I'm kind of getting my personal business taken care of in a lot greater way. In fact, the next resolution, let's just get to it. So, no, I did not get to a place. I do feel, though, that maybe to your point, I can work on the second half of that, which is get to a point where I feel comfortable to turn my job over to someone else and then apply egregiously for jobs to make more money. So I may just have to go, this is comfortable enough.
Yeah,
I'm just not going to get any more comfortable. I need to now start applying. So as to that, then, I have been getting to my personal business because this is Tyson resolution number 2, get finances figured and getting into a home. Well, I think we mentioned it last week, but I'm not certain.
I think you did.
Yeah, and so we're at least in offer acceptance for a home. So after half my lifetime of not being of renting, figured out the other day that this doesn't sound like a lot if you live in a high expense place, but here it is. In the one place I've lived, it's now been over 7 years, I have put about $48,000 towards nothing because it's just rent. Mm-hmm. Here, that's half of a house.
Yeah.
At least it's in a half of a decent starter home.
Right.
Right, at the very least. And then if you got expensive, but if you're renting, your first house after renting is probably not going to be a super, really nice home, which is here, 120 and up. I know that sounds crazy, but it's really not a shack.
No,
actually, you can get a nice house, 120 and up, but if you get up towards 150, depending on how good of a job you did looking, you can get a really nice house. But here, $48,000 is about halfway towards a pretty nice starter home. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I've been wasting for 7 years. So, yes, we are in offer acceptance and closing. So we're actually towards meeting this in this year. And the other day, Kim and I went over to it, and what did we do? We said, "Screw COVID." We just gave each other a hug.
Yeah, it was like our first hug.
Yeah, and I just feel horrible.
I know. My throat is.
The house is so gorgeous, though. Anyway, so that's awesome. And as an aside, then on that we just thought there's some kind of fun things to talk about with that. And one thing was
oh my gosh, he is geeking out.
Okay, so yeah, this is just
guys. We had tape measures measuring rooms from the outside of the house. He invites me over to see the house. I think I'm going in the house. Yeah. No, we're not going in the house. We're just going to look through the windows like pee-pee toms. And I'm holding the thing, and he's like, I think the wall's here. What?
Well, because I'm dumb sometimes. And we'll get to that. So what did I do that was fun? So it turns out if you get geeky because you're getting one, go check out a free app called Sweet Home 3D.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome.
And so I didn't even show you that you can get your layout. Now I'm getting used to it. It's totally free. You can go get inventories of furniture, pick furniture that's kind of like yours. Worst case, you can just put the right size. You can get the dimensions. And then from above, you can kind of see, like it'll have a 3D view from kind of like your roof's off and you're looking from 30 feet up and you can kind of move around. But you can also pick another 3D view where after you put the stuff in, you get the human view and you can walk through the house. So I've got basically all my furniture put in.
Yes, you do. It looks really nice.
So, and I
continue
to mess around with that. I haven't exactly figured out the, we'll get to that. But I haven't figured out how to make the walls like exact colors. Like maybe, I want to look that up though. Can you get a color code, like a Home Depot, if they say this is our, I don't know, burnt whatever, and you go, I wonder if you know the color code to that, or if that is that like proprietary, which would be silly to me, but who knows. So there's that, Sweet Home 3D. And also, what was I saying about this, aside speculation on what the house looks like post-bid acceptance? And, oh yeah, so I'm like, well, I wonder what to do because I haven't seen the house. It's hard to understand and plan. And so this is why I'm like looking from the windows, right? She's like, you can just talk to your realtor and they can let you back into the house.
I blew his mind.
I'm like, wait, what?
Mind blown.
That makes total sense. They should, but for some reason I'm like, no, it's not proper.
You can't go back.
You can't go back and because you're still in closing process. And it's like, isn't it weird? Like the time you're most interested in the house is the time you can't look at it for 40 days. You're like, just ask your realtor. They can let you back
in the house. It's really simple.
Aside number 2, so this is awesome. We're talking about color choices because Kim has advice. It's like, well, what you'll potentially want to do is not only, say clean your carpet or something before you move stuff in right, as soon as you get the keys, but you'll potentially want to even paint because you won't have any stuff in there. It'll just be that much easier. I'm like, yeah, but that's going to be hard to understand like what things will look like. Part of why I got the 3D thing. But then also you said your strategy for your room, which I thought was really good. say you pick this color that you think is really nice in 2007, and now it's 2020, and your whole room is painted a certain color that's kind of not in, and it seems like too much. Well, what Kim does, and she showed me in her house, is you don't paint all four walls that. You can mix and match.
Yep.
And I think it's smart because then it doesn't look overwhelmed.
Nope.
So I thought that was a great strategy and it's something I'll use. But as far as picking which colors, I have no idea. But in that discussion, it was pretty hilarious. We're just chilling out because we had like a celebratory.
We did
Sonic
dinner.
Yeah, some people it might be
was it Saturday
wine.
night? Was that Saturday that we went?
We went Saturday, and yeah, so we well, where should we go? A park? Let's go. We'll just go
back
to
to my
Kim's
house
or whatever.
he's really not that far. He's
Which
like
even,
right,
that's, yeah.
It's like 2 miles from my house.
I could actually even walk now instead of
because I actually
driving.
walk by that neighborhood when I walk. So.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're just chilling out with our Sonic, and she's talking about the walls and stuff, and I'm like, she goes like that color over there, it's green, and my head almost exploded. I'm looking at the same wall as her.
My whole house is green.
In 2 minutes, I'm like, okay, we need to have a stroke check.
Yeah.
So I go and find some obvious greens to me, and I go,
Right.
what color is this to you? And you go, that's green. And by the end of this conversation, it's very obvious, well, it's obvious a minute in, that I'm working from a 16 Crayola set.
Yes.
And you're working from a 128 or
I got the
something.
one with the
pencil sharpener.
With the pencil sharpener.
That's 64, but you might have 120 or
I might,
256.
I could.
Maybe it has an electric pencil sharpener.
Could.
And you're like, that is green. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not green.
My whole house is sage green. It is.
And I'm like,
my basement is green too.
eventually, once I got to the idea, well, maybe if she means like one of the muted colors and like camouflage,
No.
then maybe. And you're like, it's sage. I'm like, it's not green. And then she goes, you know what? Go check my downstairs. It's all green. So I'm like, first of all, if you would have asked me what color your downstairs was, and I've only been in here at least 60 times, maybe 70, I would have been like, I don't know. I mean, give me a color and I'll say whether I think it could be it. Light blue, maybe. Peach, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. I couldn't tell you other people's houses either.
So she goes, no, go down there and check. It's all green. Because I'm still not seeing green up there.
Yep.
I'm still wondering if I've had a stroke. Although I did do the obvious checks, like, is this green to you? And you said, yeah. And this is blue, right? Like I'm pointing to some box that has, and she goes, yeah, that's blue, but that's still green. I'm like, it's not green. So anyway, I go downstairs and I still don't see green. I still don't, and right now, I don't
All
see green.
My whole basement is sage green. It's the same color as upstairs, pretty much. And I'm having.
Well,
and
now
my
I
house,
see that this is the same color as that one wall. I just still don't see it as green.
My house
I
is
like
going to be
seeing it
green
as
when I get my
off.
siding on it too. It'll be green siding.
Didn't you say my place is very similar right now in color?
As my house right now is kind of
Yeah,
a
that's
yellowish.
cool. So I don't know no colors.
No, he does not.
I don't know.
Don't worry.
So,
We will help him. We will help
yeah.
him with the colors.
Also, then quickly, things I didn't know. Credit lessons, very quickly. One of them was, I didn't know that you couldn't pay off your credit cards every single month and have that be a good thing. The granularity of the reporting, which is what I do, the granularity of the reporting for the way most companies report will not show that. You would have to pay it off before the statement. It goes by statement balance. So I have, especially, I bought all that computer stuff and my home office stuff. I've paid a lot of money in the last 6 months with,
Did you earn
doing the
any
home
points
office.
on your credit card? Oh, no. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
that's another episode, which we had. You should go listen to that one because she earns travel points. Is how she travels, basically. I have looked into that, and my card doesn't have it. I just haven't switched cards, and now it's not the time because you don't want to be changing anything in between.
No, we can't change it yet. But we will
until
get you.
closing.
We will get you on that.
So anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, credit lessons. I didn't know that if you paid it off every month, it wouldn't be a positive thing. The granularity doesn't have it. It just sees the statements, and if they're give or take around the same, they think you've just been hovering at that balance the whole time. They don't understand that you have paid off thousands of dollars. Like in the last 6-7 months, probably $8,000 have gone through my credit card that I paid to zero every month. And my credit check didn't say that. I mean, it doesn't know that. So I was able to the good thing is I don't get me on a topic because I will drill down to the center of the earth and then to China.
Yeah.
I'm asking credit questions so much, eventually my head pops out the other side and someone goes,
Exactly.
I'm like, that's what I thought.
Right.
And I came back through. Anyway, I increased my credit score by like 75 points just from some simple stuff that I did.
Right.
A lot of it was that credit because, I had this up to 40% of my credit limit on like credit card type stuff. I'm like, well, I can pay it down to zero. I always do. So I had to wait for that to flip. And there's a couple other things like there weren't enough counts. Experian has something called Experian Boost, 10-second version, where if you don't have very many accounts, it will take your bank password, look into your statement, and find repeating stuff, and pull 3 or 4 accounts. And therefore, you have more accounts that you've shown payment history on.
Right, because like your utilities and all that stuff doesn't ever hit.
It doesn't usually.
Yeah, it doesn't hit it until you don't make a payment.
Those things that show that you've been responsible and been paying a lot of money don't end up on your credit. But Experian Boost will do that. It added 4 accounts for me and initially raised it 35 points.
Nice.
Now TransUnion has another one. Doesn't work quite in the same way. You have to give the separate logons, but it can do that too. So there's 2 out of the 3. And a lot of lenders go by the middle score. So you have if you have 2 out of the 3 popped up, then you're in pretty good shape. So those credit lessons were good. And then the weird thing is like trying to understand down payment and having to try to work that and understanding that like down payment is a closing cost. I mean, I thought, okay, well, I just have to give that to the lender. It's like when they say, no, due at closing, it's in that check. And I didn't even understand that.
Right.
I knew that if I could get to 5%, then, but it's like, no, it's already paid. And therefore, the lender just has that much less that they're lending you immediately. You don't even pay it to them.
Right.
So I didn't get that. It just goes into one big check and just gets distributed out as necessary.
Through the title company or something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever check the big closing cost check comes to. So, yeah, on the way, and it is a cool little place.
Yeah,
and,
I love it. I mean, when I get to go inside, I'm sure I'll love it more, but...
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and I'm looking forward to it, so hopefully we close on that. So that was resolution number 2.
Good job. That's a high five right there.
So hopefully we get that through 9:30, and then maybe resolution 1 follows soon after, because right now you can't get a job. You don't want to be changing employment until you're...
You got it,
And then after, and so that's why maybe this sequence works. It's like I get everything. I get everything. Okay, like basically they got all my paperwork now. I'm waiting for appraisal. So now I'm going to have several weeks where I go, what to do next. One is packing, which I've already started. I got like 23 boxes packed. And then the other is, the job stuff. Because, man, all of a sudden you make $10,000 or $15,000 more, those payments look a lot easier to get ahead on.
Right.
So that's where I can maybe focus as I'm going, what to do next? It feels like a lifestyle change. Let's continue with it. Resolution number 3, killed it.
Boom!
Want to know what it was?
Yeah.
I said, I finally need to turn this corner and just get the Chiefs to the Super Bowl.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
awesome.
Thanks to you. Thank you for getting me to manifest, my resolutions or goals.
Goals, whatever.
And, or 7 touchdowns and 3 field goals or whatever.
So how do you now believe in these goals that we set? Do you believe in them a little bit more?
I do think quite possibly that just the fact that I said it out loud and really actually expressed it to somebody else, because over the last several years
and taped it on a
well, I honestly haven't been thinking about it in that regard, but maybe subconsciously it worked out, because over the last several years, you remember what kicked us off. The funny thing was, it was on the morning of my mom and dad's anniversary on a Monday, and the house 2 doors down that I had kind of peeked in 2.5, 3 years ago when it came open the first time, but only peeked in. I never even asked somebody to look at it.
Right.
I noticed that it was the morning that I'm like, I need to take off for personal business.
You took a day off. Yeah.
I said, I need to take off for personal business. And it was just like, I know there are things I need to get to. And that's what I told my boss. I didn't say I'm sick. I said, I just need to get to some things, some personal business. 15 minutes later, I'm looking at my email, and it says this place 2 doors down is open. By mid-morning, I'm like, let's go look at it. by the afternoon, I've talked to a mutual friend of ours that's a realtor, and maybe even that afternoon. By that afternoon, she and I went over there, and from there it just kind of took off.
And then you were like, called. Guess what I did today? I went and looked at a house.
Yeah, so I think, but the reason I was gonna say that as far as whether or not it worked or it helped, I had looked at things off and on, just kind of in a Zillow / some things I had never ever gone to open houses just to do it because I didn't feel like it was enough. At some point when you've rented long enough, you just feel like I can empathize a little bit, I think, with those people who have never been, they've just come from a real background of poverty. It's like, well, how do I even get there? I don't belong there. I don't belong there. I've said, we don't belong there. And so remember when we said maybe we should look at like the really nice open house, and then you feel like, man, should I even look at open the house, or can they tell? Like a really nice one, because there are some, even in Topeka, an 11,000 square foot house is on the market, which means there are many houses. The one day there's like 4 or 5 houses in little old Topeka that's not even population 200,000. There were 4 or 5 houses above 7,500 square feet on sale.
Yeah.
I mean, for sale. So it's like, maybe we should drop by some of those. But I can imagine that people of a less, even, I've been super poor at different times in my life. This is about the best I've done as far as over a period of years. And I don't even make, well, I'm not even going to say. But regardless, several years ago, I would have thought, no way I'm looking at these houses I'm looking at.
Right.
I wouldn't even feel like I was being honest with people.
Right.
So I can empathize with those people. Like, how am I ever going to get to this next status? Because I just don't feel it. I don't even feel close to it. Like, none of my family feels close to it. Those people who are like, and I've been there. It's like, the $300, you didn't have insurance or you sped or whatever, where they just rip you just because, it's a law.
Ticket.
It might as well be $10,000 to those people. They just don't have enough.
I've been there before.
They just don't have enough money above their expenses. And I've always said it's not that you have to double your income. It's that amount above your expenses that starts to become significant. So let's say your expenses are $24 a year. Let's just say. Well, it's one thing when you make only $26.
Right.
Because you're always just kind of hoping, and yes, you can save money. You can be extra careful, and so maybe your expenses don't go 24. You go, I can get it down to 20, and get down to 20, 19. But when you then, instead of making 26, you make 30, well, your difference just went from 2,000 to 8,000.
Yeah.
Or I mean from 6,000. Gosh, I said 26 to 24. From 2,000 up to 6,000 difference above your expenses. So it feels a lot different when you're that much more above your expenses, and so on and so forth. So it's not that you have to double your money. It's just that you have to get well above. You start to see that little margin above your expenses, and that's all I've been able to do in the last 5 years is just attain a little bit of distance from what my expenses are.
Right.
And then because of that, I can build up a little bit more money. And, keep things paid on time. And then, of course, I had to work that, weird. All I can tell you is that it doesn't hurt now to start understanding what your credit score is and
at the
how
age
easy.
of 50 what?
I'm just saying, anybody, do it now.
You should know. Yeah, you should.
Because Free Credit Report does what's called soft credit scores. So it doesn't hit anything. And same thing with the what's Experian does one, and the other freecreditreport.com.
There's Credit Karma.
Yeah. Credit Karma does the other two.
Right.
So it can't hurt to do those and get some sense and start reading those, because you never know when you're gonna feel like you're comfortable doing this type of thing. And if you don't have to worry about scrambling like I just did, I can scramble because I will, like I said, dig to China to figure out something in 3 months, in 3 weeks, if nobody else will tell me. But if you got time to figure it out, you can totally get control of that.
And you're not alone, because most people are not worried about their credit while they're living their life. It's when you need to use your credit that you start to look at it. I mean, people will go check to see, making sure that they don't have like fictitious things on their credit, making sure that people, you're watching your credit. But I've always
That's different than the goal of how do I make this 20 points higher.
Right. When we bought our house,
get nerdy on that. At least slow rate. Get nerdy on it. Continue to pick and do it.
It was different because when we got this house back in '88, we got a first time buyers, but we had some medical things from when Brian was a child that his family didn't pay. So we had to go and we had to pay it, take the receipt into the credit counseling place, and then they adjusted everything there, showed that everything was paid, and it was different back in the 80s. So I believe it, and I'm very proud of you because you took your goals for 2020 were huge. I mean, when was the last time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl?
70?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know. It was a long time ago, but we kind of knew that. We were like, yay, hopefully, because this was in December and they won it, like pretty soon after that. But anyway,
we didn't know it. It just looked pretty good. They were in their winning streak around there,
and it was our time. Dang it! Yeah. But for a job, that's that. But to buy a house and actually do it, I'm very proud of you because,
on wood.
Well, I meant, but not even to follow through, to actually even go out and look for a house, because that takes a lot. And when you first found the first one, I was telling you, you got to go around and look at a lot of houses because you need to have a feel of what is out there. Because some of the houses you were like, yeah, no. Then other houses you were trying to convince yourself they would work. And you have to enjoy the process. And so,
I didn't enjoy the process. Well, I was ready to be done, but I did feel like I was informed by the time we saw that one.
Right.
And
because you wanted to buy the house on Friday.
Would have been ideal, yes.
Yeah, just like
I would have liked to get that out of the way.
That would just be done.
Is there any way we can be done with this? I mean, it's 3:00 in the afternoon, and I was
like, it's not gonna. It takes longer than a week to buy a house. I mean, unless you're like a billionaire and you're just gonna flap some money down on the counter.
Right now, the aside is in Kansas, or at least here, there's just enough competition that. If it's a find at all, then asking price ain't going to do it.
My friends put their house on for sale by owner, sold it the first day. The house that they bought
for sale by owner, wow.
But the house that they bought is on 25 acres out in the country, and someone had told them that it was on sale. They put in a bid on it. They didn't get it. It fell through, so they contacted and said, hey, we're going to do this. They're like, no, we want to come today. And she was like, no, you can't come. She's like, no, I want to come today. And she's like, well, you have to be here in 30 minutes. We'll be there. And they put a contract on it, and they're moving into it. That's how fast things are going here. All right, so...
Yeah, I got mine on the first day. It was really insider information because the seller... I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean. It's just
that's how houses are.
Sometimes someone knows before the rest of everybody else knows, and it's okay.
Right.
The seller agent and the buyer agent were from the same place, so you kind of get a sense earlier. And we put a bid within 8 hours of it even being known to be on coming up for sale.
Right. Okay, so my resolutions are not that big, but I do have to say that I'm accomplishing them because my resolution number 1 was organize business better, and was my clients. So far, I have increased my revenue 25% in 2020. I had doubled
you had
it.
Said that. Yeah, as when we talked about it, you had doubled your client quantities, but you still hadn't really, had not responded in organization to the point of having doubling your clients. So
and so
organizing for that bigger client volume.
Correct.
So how's that gone?
So like I said, I started working yesterday to close out August. I have 22 clients. I started closing yesterday, and I have 3.5 hours left of work to do, and I will have closed them all out in 3 days. And then last week, I spent 5 hours paying payroll taxes just so that I could get that out of the way. So I'm getting 2 weeks worth of work done in 1 week. And that is
And you
awesome.
think some good portion of that is the organization?
It's 100% organization. I have got checklists after checklists. So now I have my checklist in my book, and in each folder, each client has their own checklist in their folder. So I pull out the folder, but now I actually have a checklist that gives me everything that I have to do. And it's
Right.
It
I
looks
know
like
you had a
this. See
plan.
that?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's got
Pulling up something because we're near her
on my
work,
desk. So it'll
desk
say the
too.
client name, bank statement, the client name, state, federal, and it just goes all the way down. And so I just go, do it.
A one-pager for the month, or a
This is
one-pager
for the month. This is the
Nice.
month, and it will be 2 pages next month when I add the new people. I have one client that's just getting ready. She just purchased a business.
So a simple illustrative check-off
Amazing.
by client and a couple things you have to do, or whichever one's applicable. Also, you said you got your new setup.
My new desk is amazing.
How's it working?
It's amazing. My new office is ridiculous. I feel like I'm at work now. I don't feel, when I had the carpet down here and I had, like a family room area, because I just kind of had my desk down here, and then there was like a whole family room area. I made that so my office is half my size in my basement as opposed to the quarter.
Oh, okay. So you pushed that back, or has that been since I...
No,
yeah.
no.
I'm pointing at some furniture that's kind of the boundary towards what would be considered, hey, if you want to sit down here and watch TV instead, you can.
Right.
And I'm saying, did you push that towards
Yep.
that direction?
So that couch used to be over here by my printer, and I
Okay.
just had this little area over here.
That's smart. Now
And
that I
then-
see that does, I don't think that I noticed that it was pushed back, but it makes sense. So you're kind of dividing shelf is about 1.5 feet further,
Oh my
which
God,
over
yes.
over the length of the office is a good amount of volume.
Yeah,
That
yep.
feels a little bit more spacious.
And then I built my desk, of course. So I've got my new desk, and it's just my checklists, and then my daily schedule that I do, my meditating every morning, my education, my structure, my life coach, my business
and that
coach.
kind of gets to your second one. I don't know
That's
if they're
my
overlapping.
well, yeah, I think it's kind of all. My resolution number 2 was to follow a more stringent schedule. And COVID kicked my ass when it came to the working out part. I was golden. I had lost 10 pounds. I was doing freaking awesome. And then all of a sudden, you can't go out, you can't work out anymore. We're in cold weather. I can't leave the house. I can do some stuff at home. I'm mad. I'm depressed. So I still work out. I still work out 5 times during the week, but I was kicking butt. Like, I was intense on my workout. So that is not as good.
This was when it comes to workout, eating, and basic life. For instance, for Jim, also meant by this that she wants to focus more, even though she goes consistently. So you had said, well, sometimes I'm just kind of going through the steps.
Right,
And
and
know-
I was going really good, and then I'm not. I mean, I will get back to it.
But the stringent schedule overlaps with your
my work.
with your work.
Because I want to be able to my next project that I'm working on is going to require me to travel. So I want to be able to get my accounting work done for my clients, and then I can just take it with me. And then I will be traveling around and meeting with people all over the United States. And I want to be able to still keep my accounting going and then schedule the stuff. And so if I can get that done in a week, then that gives me 2 weeks of work and 1 week to travel for fun.
And which coincides then with your resolution number 3.
That's right. World Domination 2.0 in 2020. And I'm telling you, even though that everything
If you dominate the world, could you do anything about these ridiculous leaders? Can you just dominate over them? And
I just ignore them now. I'm step over top of them. I'm just gonna. I have been trying to do as much as I possibly can. My depression.
If you're gonna dominate the world, is there any chance you can just stand near one and I can hide behind you and punch them? because you're dominating the world, you don't get in trouble. You're like, oh, sorry about that.
Sorry, man, I don't know where he came from.
No, you don't say that part.
Oh.
You just go, so there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm dominating the world. What are you gonna do about it, huh?
Well, I mean, it wasn't exactly what I wanted this year, but oh well. Anyway.
Well, you know, that's what's funny. It's such a weird year.
But I'm still going. I'm still kicking butt. So I'm not going to let him get me down.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's hard. It's hard to understand what life would be, and I'm not giving credit to this situation at all because it's all ridiculous in my opinion. It has been for some period of time. But on the other hand, you go, well, geez, I wonder what I would have done. I mean, was the fact that I'm able to work remote makes me more aware of my home surroundings.
Right.
Because I'm in it more. I can tell you for sure what I would often do is avoid. That's part of the reason I would go from work to just somewhere instead of coming home. And I would
because it wasn't yours.
I would flee my home. And I can't tell you because of this. Well, I can't. It can still be cluttery, but it has to feel good enough to work in, which then kind of carries over to the personal deal. And had I not got more of a control over the home environment, I don't know if I would have felt comfortable even dipping my toes into.
I don't think you would have.
Let's go look at that house 2 doors down.
I don't think you would have. I think that if everybody stops and pays attention and is able to go through all of the negative stuff, get past it, and find how this year has affected them in a positive way, I think their list would be quite long. Most people. Some people, it's just going to destroy them, but still we have to always look for positive. We can't just be negative. We can't just, be mad at everything and be mad all the time. I have to take what I'm given each day, and I cannot change that, but I can live my life the best possible way that I can.
Right, and it's not that I couldn't have gotten to that place, but this just by happenstance got me to the place, which if nothing else ends up being a positive, even though not in a billion years would I have ever wished this year on any society.
No.
Not in 2 trillion years. As far,
nope, and I never want it to happen again.
I'm a big picture person, and always
too.
and foremost. But I just happen to be also observing that I'm not sure that I get there purposefully if I wasn't kind of thrust into the situation.
Right.
So in that regard, for me personally, it had some positive effects. Knock on wood,
right?
Because we still have a little time, but so far.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to wrap this episode up so we can start with episode 50. 50, I picked out a topic for that one, and we're going to be talking about the fabulous being 50. Since it's a 50th episode, we're both 50-ish.
50. I like to say 50.
50. You 50?
Yeah.
It's a 50?
50.
Oh, it's a D. It's a
50
D.
and I got no sense.
50.
Call me 50 no sense. Even I frowned at that one.
He did.
But the thing is, at least you can giggle because it's an earnest attempt at bad humor, and you just own it.
It was bad, yeah.
Sometimes
bad.
You just own it, and that's kind of the funny part.
That's it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for giving us your time. We always appreciate our listeners. And make sure to go to our Facebook group, Chemology 411. Say episode 49. Tell us how your New Year's resolution / goals are going for 2020.
Feel free to remind us in 90 days that we should be checking back, since that was our initial kind of semi-resolution. About our goals.
Goals. Because I think we can achieve goals. Resolutions just sound.
Goal on goal crime.
Goal on goal crime.
Goal on goal action.
You are not getting any better. You're just going down.
I just love the goal action.
That's right. All right, guys. If you haven't joined our group yet, make sure you do. Thank you, Tyson, for helping make Chemology 411 so awesome.
You're welcome. That's all I'll say. I've added enough.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.